Max Schmeling won the initial fight, which gave, that shows Aryan supremacy.
They actually became really good friends.
What's that?
Max Schmeling and Joe Louis actually became really good friends.
Yeah. They slugged it out again, and Joe Louis won the second fight. Then they slugged out the third time, and Joe Louis won the third fight. All this you'll find in your history books with a little bit of, some of you already heard the stories. Basically, he believed that, again, he was as racist as they come. And he believed that the inferior races, inferior as he saw them, should be eliminated. Now, I want to say this about natural selection, folk. And I want to pick on a certain species that you all are familiar with, the rabbit. A rabbit growing up in the wild has a 1 chance in 10 of reaching adulthood, of living 1 year. Now you might say, oh, the one that survives is better than the others. Not necessarily. Supposing the really, really good, fast, strong rabbits, or well-adapted rabbits, he has, I mean, his chances, normal, the average chance of rabbit is 0.1. The really good one, his chance is maybe even, give him a little bit more than that, 0.11. In other words, he has 1 chance in 9 that he'll reach adulthood. The rabbit that's a little bit less than him has a chance of 0.09. Now, these are the really, really best of rabbits. These are the average rabbits. These are slightly below average. Now, of course, granted, the unfit don't survive. That's true in the wild. But the fit don't have much of a better chance of surviving than the others, which means that basically the rabbit population pretty much stays the same from generation to generation in its fitness level. And I got something else to tell you about what I've observed about the wild animals, whether it be wild squirrels, wild rabbits, wild rats, wild mice. You look at them, when you see them, they all look alike. Now, if you capture a bunch of rabbits and selectively breed them, you'll get white rabbits, brown rabbits, rabbits are a mixture. I mean, you go to a pet shop, you'll see what I mean. Well, why doesn't nature produce these rabbits? Oh, they all die off. Nature does try to produce them, but they all die off. And all that's left, or basically what natural selection does, is it really greatly narrows and reduces the gene pool. It does not promote the expansion of genes that are necessary for the evolution upward of any species. It reduces the gene pool. Do you make a point, or at least I'm trying to? Yes?
I have a few comments.
Can you, well, okay, go ahead.
I mean, I thought you were done, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, make them. I'll make
Well,
them.
on the issue of natural selection, it wasn't implied that the Darwin that we should get rid of the sick because they're unfit, but it's
the people who followed him did in fact believe that.
Yeah, I mean, people follow him, but that was not his point. His point was that the better adaptation of each species on different circumstances make them better to create offspring, therefore passing on the gene. But it wasn't, you know, it doesn't imply that it was because of racism or because of racism that they were unfit, that the other races were unfit because they were, you know.
You actually have to read Darwin, but I'll let it.
But I mean, it's just, it's because if he coined the word race,
yes.
But it wasn't because of racism, because there was, I mean, there was racism at the time, and it was very commonplace, just like there's racism now. In another sense, that it's more commonplace than rather than racism towards, you know, people of different colors. But it's my point is that it's Darwin was not a racist in the sense that we all think, that you are expressing it at this point.
Okay. I'll let you, but go ahead, you make your point. I'm not going to argue. I'll let you make your point. Darwin was not a racist, you're saying. Okay. I'll let you make your point. I'm not going to argue. Anybody else? One thing I do want to say, while we're on the subject of race, I was going to hold this for later. Have any of you ever heard of mitochondrial DNA, or Y chromosomes? All right, basically what this shows, folks, is that all human females are descended from one woman. And all human males are descended from one man. All that are alive today. Now, not that they always have been, but all human males alive are descended from one man. Now, the names that they give to these men, this man and woman, come from a book that I'm going to call the Forbidden Book, because I don't want any theological discussion, but I'll call it Forbidden Book. It's not allowed in our public schools. Does anybody know what they call the woman that all females alive today are descended from? Anybody know what they call her? Eve. Mitochondrial Eve. Does anyone know what they call the man?
Adam.
They call him Y chromosome Adam. Now, here it is. Now, folks, this is from National Geographic. Several years ago, I had to study my own DNA, and yes, I'm of European descent, Y1b haplogroup. Some of you might know what I'm talking about. It shows that all humans, of course, they believe came from Africa, starting in Africa. And again, the reason I use Africa is the African people tend to be more diverse. You can't see it? Oh, here, I'll raise it up a little bit higher. And let's see, and to help you be able to see it better. That might assist you. Now, something I find most interesting is that the women, starting out with Eve, wind up right here and branch off from right here and spread all over the globe. The men seem to spread right from all over the globe from this area right here. But this is the region of Mount Ararat. Does anybody know of anything that happened at Mount Ararat that might explain why the female chromosomes started from there and spread over the globe? What is significant about Mount Ararat? Noah's Ark landed on Mount Ararat. Oh, they don't mean to be saying it, but they're giving the flood story. It's not just written on tables of stone. It's not just written in this forbidden book. Every human alive has heard it all over. It's all over the globe. But it's not only written on paper and pen, it's written in our DNA. How's that? Because Adam lived several generations after Eve. Have any of you ever heard of a story where that every human died except for one man and his sons and their wives? Folks, it's written in our DNA. Purely and simply, it's there. Now, there are persons, I mean, if you look up mitochondrial Eve, and I have many a time, there are persons who will try to explain it away, that no, somehow Eve's descendants were better than other descendants. Her descendants killed off the other descendants. You know, or that somehow there was a big catastrophe, which I do believe, that happened to kill off everybody except for Eve's descendants. And then later there was another catastrophe that killed off everybody except for Adam's descendants. So maybe there's a big war that Adam's descendants were better than everybody else's, so Adam's descendants were able to win the war because they were genetically superior somehow. Again, you can find alternate explanations if you want to, but folks, the data is there. You're welcome to research it. Now, how many of you have heard anything like this?
From Islam?
Yeah, several of you, okay.
From Islam?
You have?
We have the Islam, from Islam, or we have the story of Islam. I don't know
Yeah.
if I'm going to tell it to you now. Or
Oh, well, I might fail to mention, the mitochondrial DNA is passed from mother to daughter down through
I
this.
agree with you. Those people were the pharaohs to me.
Yeah.
The pharaohs, when the pharaoh killed the men and
Well,
they killed the old men, and they had used to kill the boys, you know. That's what we learned.
maybe
about
that's another
pharaohs.
explanation,
But-
then, that they killed all the men except for.
And in Quran there is a verse that Adam and Eve.
Oh, they killed everybody else except
No,
for.
Adam and Eve went to the earth from heaven.
Oh, okay.
And in Egypt.
Oh, okay.
You know.
Okay.
In Egypt, so.
I'm not familiar with the story, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'll let you tell it. Okay, so, but basically they're saying the same thing, that agrees with this.
Later maybe
Yeah, agrees with this.
Yeah.
All right.
So I don't know.
Now, I must say this. Let's see, where am I here?
What is this called again?
Huh?
What was the name?
Mitochondrial Eve. Mitochondrial DNA is spread mostly from mother to daughter. I mean, men have mitochondrial DNA that they get from their mothers, but the male DNA, the mitochondrial DNA is not spread from fathers to offspring. Yeah, you have.
No, I was going to correct you because on the mitochondria.
Men have it.
Yeah, no, men have it, but I thought you had said that there were
But
spread from the father.
it only spreads from mother to daughter. And the Y chromosome, again, I don't know if women even have that, but the Y chromosome is only for men, but it spreads from father to son.